Hello, everybody. Welcome to my live video feed or live stream with talking about the Elmira branch of the Pennsylvania Railroad. I'll give a couple minutes for people to join in just in case. All right. I'm just making sure, just reading over something real quick. All right, I might as well just start. So on the screen is a map from 1964, I believe, or 1954. I don't quite remember. This is a photo of a rolled out map that I have. I literally bought it for $2 like 10 years ago. Holy cow. Um, so the Elmira branch starts in Williamsport and runs all the way to Sodas Point. Let me get my mouse. So Williamsport's down here, runs all the way up across the state line through my hometown, Watkins Glen, all the way to Sodas Point on Lake Ontario. So this is on Lake Ontario. I'm going to read a little bit of info on the predecessor railroad, the Elmira and Williamsport, or Williamsport and Elmira Railroad. So the first railroad in central PA from Williamsport north was in 1832. Two legislatures were pensioned, but it wasn't until that June that the railroad was given approval to build from Williamsport via Lycoming Creek, which is this way. Let's see here, to the New York state line. So they were slowly making their way to New York because Elmira at the time was becoming a booming city. So that was the first railroad. And then right before the Civil War, the Northern Central Railway bought that line. They got us, I don't know how far the railroad actually was. I want to say at least Watkins Glen is like right in here. So the Northern Central Railway bought the Williamsport and Elmira Railroad, and after that it was leased by the Pennsylvania Railroad in 1903 for 99 years or 999 years. I can't remember what the lease was. The last railroads to own the line was Penn Central from Elmira south for the most part, and Conrail. Today I will show you the active parts, basically the only active parts that are in New York, which are operated by Norfolk Southern and Finger Lakes Railway. I got a few older photos, and I think I got Watkins Glen in here. But I'm going to go over the map pretty much. So on my map, this is the legend. So I'm going to show you some of the maps so you get an idea what these are. Interlocking tower, block station, telephone, signals, water tank, if you ever see this, yard limit, a little sign here. This will be the state line, township line, hot box detector, which is the thing us rail fans hear when a train goes by at a certain milepost, it goes off. Now this is supposed to be colored. Obviously I have a black and white version, so this doesn't really matter. But these are locations we will be going over. Cowley, Alba, I mean. I gotta zoom. See, I don't like this. Bodine. Zoom up. See. So it crosses Lycoming Creek quite a bit and all this. Pleasant Stream. Cogan Valley, Cogan, which is Cogan Station. Columbia Crossroads. Pennsylvania into New York. This is Facet / South Creek, and this would be considered Wellsburg, even though Wellsburg's over the hill. It's a blurry shot. Horseheads, where the Pensy had trackage rights over the Erie at one time for a short distance before they split to go north. Let's see. There's Newbury. This is the very beginning, so Newbury Junction. I'll have that at the end. I'll show you some photos of what's left of Newbury Junction. There's Ralston. See, Bodine's, it goes Bodine, Ralston, and then Langdon, Roaring Branch. They don't quite, at this time, Ralston didn't have a yard, unfortunately. Yeah, this is about Langdon, right in here. Max, there's Langdon. Okay. Is that crossing? Oh, that's Sned for Snedekerville. I'll go over that possibly today. Elmira Yard. I might go over this today. This is Southport, technically. Like Southport, Elmira. Detailed map of it. Trout Run. Troy. And let's see what else. Montour Falls, Watkins Glen, Rock Stream, which is right around Himrod, I think. Okay, I don't want those. Okay, so where's my folder? Start with Williamsport. This is not my photo, but I figured I'd start out here because this is a pretty cool photo. This is possibly around the 40s, maybe 30s, I'm unsure. I know this is a yard locomotive, but this is a Penske steam engine, obviously, moving a Penske boxcar that says Lycoming Engines for Taylor Craft, the first carload of light plane engines in history. Lycoming / Textron was along the original line that the Northern Central, I believe they built it or whatever, or they mainly serviced in Williamsport. I don't have a picture of that. I'll have to do that on my next part. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm starting out in Williamsport. I thought I'd start out the other way. This is Newberry Junction facing Newberry Yard. So Arch Street is right here in Newberry. This building is sitting on the right of way. So I'm pretty much right in the middle of a Y. So there would have been a track going straight this way, and then a track curved to the right to go toward Elmira. I kind of skip over. So this is facing Newberry Junction. So Newberry Junction is in the background. Brodart is in the background. You can see that in the background. US 15 South on-ramp is to my left. This is the same spot facing north. This is 4th Street. US 15 right here. There's the off-ramp. I don't remember what street this actually is, but do you remember the street this is, Mike? No. Oh, I thought Mike would know. This is Memorial Ave. We're on the Lycoming Bikeway. We are up to the old Lycoming section of Williamsport. So US 15 is now on my left, heading north. This is Bottle Run. This actually rarely ever gets a lot of water, so pretty much what you see is what it normally gets. I'll have to find a photo and post it of, or a video clip I found on YouTube of a steam engine going across this bridge, and you just see how big the bridge is. It's a couple of feet from the bottom of the bridge to the creek. It's pretty cool. This is facing north. This is Kittle and Fry? Knettle? I can never say that name. Agway? Go kind of back all over the place. This is Lower Heshbon. So this is approximately, just zoom in too much. This is approximately 4 to 6 miles up the line from Newberry Junction. I can't remember what actual mile post it is. It's on my map, but I don't have the map with me. This is Lower Heshbon facing south on Christmas Day a couple years ago from a lot of rain. So the water was quite high. I'm actually standing on Heshbon Road, and the water is almost to the road. It usually gets like this when we get a lot of heavy rain. Another view facing south from the other side of the rail trail bridge. The bridge support is obviously underwater, so it's a couple inches below. This is Upper Heshbon. I like this bridge because I actually left it the way it was. They just kind of put the wooden sides on it. This bridge was built in 1901. I'm guessing it was built in Elmira, in my hometown. Well, technically Elmira Heights, but it would have been listed as Elmira. Get a pretty decent view. Same day, Christmas Day, a couple years ago, the water almost touched the bridge. It's pretty much a repeat of Agnes because the water, I believe, either touched the bridge or just missed the bridge. Here's a very old photo. This is from when I was in high school, end of high school, from US 15 looking down at Cogan Station. This is the end of the rail trail. Quick view of the Lycoming bikeway sign. This is Beauty's Run, where the Pensy would have crossed. Looking north. On the other side of Cogan Station. Now we're actually north of Hepburnville. We're actually entering Cogan Station area where the station was. Looking north on the Lycoming Creek. You can obviously see the end of the bike path is right there where the concrete post is. A view underneath the bridge. Oop, went too fast. A view underneath the bridge. It's in decent shape for how old it is. This is north of where the bike path ends. This is facing south. Where my finger is pointing is where the rail right away was. You can obviously see rail sticking out of the concrete for this road. Right about where my thumb is, you see the line. It disappears into the pavement. If you look closely, you can see it. There's a rail would be right here and right here. This is behind Taylor Trucking. I actually was surprised to see this. The one day Mike and I went exploring around the end of the right-of-way of the rail trail. Same bridge we just crossed over. This is no, this is actually farther up. This is the next intact bridge, but it's not part of the rail trail. So this is actually where the Cogan railroad station was, right in this area. The bridge we just crossed, I kind of have these out of order because I was kind of confusing where these locations were, but that's the rail trail bridge. So obviously this isn't my photo, but this photo I wanted to add because you can recreate this photo for the most part, do like a then and now. So this is approximately like the 50s because maybe late 40s, early 50s because the 57, I believe, was the last year that the steam engines ran up this line. And this is what is known as a hippo. I don't remember the actual model name of this locomotive, but it's called a hippo. And the Elmira branch was known as Hippo Country. So, almost the exact same spot, facing the same way as the last photo. Let me kind of go back and forth, zoom in a little bit. So pretty much you get an idea of what's changed. Obviously, a lot of trees have grown in. Possibly that tree is not there no more because I think I'm just to the right of where that photo was taken. But obviously you can see the total difference between 1950s and this was within 3 years. This photo was taken within the last 3 years. On this bridge, there is actually a geo survey marker, right, Mike? Is that what these called? Huh? Geodetic. Okay, I didn't know how to pronounce that word. Which is pretty cool. If you ever find these, if I ever find these, I take a picture. Now, if you do, that's pretty cool too. This is a view of the geodetic marker facing south on the same bridge. Mike and I have gone underneath this bridge, and he showed it in his one video of Lycoming Creek. Right at the Cogan station, where the station actually was crossing, the station would have been right in here somewhere. I can't remember actually which side, but this is 973. This is going west, and this is going east. I just want to get a show you guys this. I forgot I added this until I'm totally forgetting what I put in this live. Oh my gosh. So underneath the bridge, obviously you can see a tree growing right up to the bridge. It's actually going through it. It's sticking out right here. So I jokingly say the tree is kind of holding the bridge up. This is a missing bridge that's just south of the last one. This is somebody's backyard. They literally built the house right on the right-of-way. This is the northern end of that bridge. So the Kogan Station Bridge that that has the tree sticking through it is just north of here. This is a couple miles north at Halika Campground. This is facing south toward that last bridge. This is a little culvert facing the same way, facing south. I am up to almost, would this be considered Powys, Mike?
No, it's Halika.
That's still Halika? Okay. This is the next bridge up a couple feet, maybe a couple 100 feet from Halika. So Halika's in the background. This is facing south. This is like Lycoming Creek. Your CJ's friend's house is, yeah, you know where it's at. So this is bridge support in the middle, and then the far distance is the abutment. I'm on the northern end of it. Stone foundation, I guess you'd call it, a stone foundation for the abutment with a little bit of concrete on the edge and right here. Here's a more clear view of the missing bridge. This is facing south, like I said.
Lycoming Creek.
Yeah, Lycoming Creek here. And this is Old 15 in the background. Maybe that's visible, or is that her friend's? I can't remember. A view from the creek with the bridge abutment and the support. A view from Old 15, which is Lycoming Creek Road, facing south. You can definitely see it when in the wintertime for sure with all the snow. Powys Curve. This is called Powys Curve, or Powys, because this is where the village of Powys is. So this is Old 15. And it's been redone since this photo, obviously. So New 15 is actually in the background much higher up. So it's right about here, but it's only a few feet over. So this is looks empty for some reason. But he's going north on the left side of Lycoming Creek, heading toward Trout Run, which is the next town up. And you can actually see the, I guess this would be the, there should be a fireman, engineer, conductor? I think that might have been the conductor. That's their little cubby. So I got a few somewhat custom-made Pennsylvania Railroad milepost or block signs made, and I'm pretty much sitting on where that picture was approximately taken with that steam engine. Obviously, I'm holding the sign that says Powys. So this is now Old 15. The railroad tracks were somewhere where I'm sitting. So they moved 15 over closer to the creek. And then they built New 15, which is here. So you have New 15, Old 15. The right-of-way is somewhere in here. And then Lycoming Creek is right here. It makes like that horseshoe. This is north of, I guess I call it Upper Powys. This is the other side. This is the northern end of Powys. I'm on the right-of-way facing north. The right-of-way would be right here. This is a few feet south facing south. The right-of-way would have crossed right here. Get another idea. This is that same crossing facing north. The rail is still there. I'll have to check to see how the road looks, because this is a couple years ago. I was surprised to see this. I was looking for a marker for there was a house fire that a railroad crew helped save the people in the house, but I don't know where the marker is. It's somewhere around here. Next town up is Trout Run. This is crossing over the actual stream Trout Run, facing north. So Ralston and Bodine and all that is up here. So Old 15 is where I'm standing. PA 14 starts here, so 14 would have started somewhere in here. There's the Trout Run Fire Hall. This is Trout Run itself. Obviously, the road bridge and another road bridge, but the train tracks are right in the middle. See, because you can see by the stonework. I'm a little bit north of that. That old Freightliner truck was parked here. This thing's now gone. I'm in the area where the station was, facing south. That used to be a general store. And I think the next photo, yep. So this is the same location approximately, standing at the station where it used to be. And there's that general store in the background. And this is a loaded coal train heading north with a hippo on the lead. This is the station master or station agent. He's got orders right there on the stick that the engineer is going to grab so he can know what's going on between Trout Run and possibly Ralston or even Canton or Troy. I don't know how they actually did it back in the day. So I'm holding a book that I highly recommend that a lot of people who are into trains or possibly just a story about a person who worked for the railroad. This is Set Up Running, The Life of a Pennsylvania Railroad Engineman, 1904 to 1949. John W. Orr. Now, I was friends with his John Orr, which was John W. Orr's son, but unfortunately, we lost John last May. So, John W. Orr is the author of this book. So, he's writing about his father, Oscar, or OP, and then, so Oscar would be my late friend's grandfather, which is really cool. I highly recommend this book. This book is very detailed. There's even some photos and even a map of what Oscar ran, like what section of the Pennsylvania Railroad he ran and what time frame. It's really good. I still haven't finished it, and I've had it for 4 years. I've waited 10 years to buy it, excuse me, and read it, and I haven't finished it yet. This is north of Trout Run. This is actually, Mike would know this location. This is Susquay Road, which is right here. This is Susquay Road. And this is the area of Camp Susquay. So, right in here, just to the right out of the photo, the original president of the Williamsport and Elmira Railroad had built his house, he had a house and had the railroad line right next to his home and his farm. I'll have to find photos of that. I couldn't find any. Of course, when I need something, I can't find it. But this is Camp Susquay. So this is is it called Susquay Road all the way down, Mike?
Yeah, Susqua.
Susquay. Okay, Susquay. I say Susquay. So this is PA 14, and this is Susquay Road, and I believe this would be Camp Susquay. This is what I.
That's where Camp Susqua office is.
That's where the office. Okay, that's what I thought.
The cabins are probably right there. To the right a little bit is the office.
Okay, so this is where the office would be.
Yep.
Okay, so Mike's saying the office would be right here. This is from the 50s. So this is an aerial photo from like the 40s or 50s. I found this and I thought I'd add this. It's really cool. I'm up to Field Station. I'm standing on what's you can see is the right-of-way looking toward another missing bridge. In 1972, Hurricane Agnes came through and wiped away a lot of the Pennsylvania Railroad bridges on this line. Well, actually, it was Penn Central at this time because from 60 to 76, 16 years? Yeah, it was Penn Central in 1960 when the New York Central and the Pennsylvania Railroad merged. This line was on its way out, unfortunately. The Penn Central, or the New York Central line through the Pine Creek Gorge in the Grand Canyon, PA, was more level than this, and there was a lot less of business on this line compared to what it used to be. And then when Agnes came through, it washed out a lot of the right-of-way, and that was the last nail in the coffin, pretty much. So, there's quite a few bridges that are missing, and that's why. But this is Field Station facing north. I'm on the edge of private property. The guy that owns the house came up and asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm just taking pictures of the old bridge. I hope I'm not trespassing. He's like, oh no, I'm just making sure nobody's throwing trash. I said, oh no, you're good. Yeah, so I guess he has problems with people throwing trash, and I said, nope, not me. I promise. um, some more of the uh bridge abutment, like would be right in here. It's hard to tell unless you know what you're looking for. Why? Okay, am I going back? I'm actually going back. These aren't in order now. Back to Newbury Tower for some reason. Why? Okay, this is Newbury Junction. I don't know why they're not in order right here. This is a switch box. Just gonna go quickly through it. Facing Williamsport. I don't know why I thought I put these in order. All these little switches, man. These little knobs, man. That's just crazy. This is behind AAA Motors. Is that the last one? Okay, that's the last one for that album. Oh my gosh, I thought they were in order. Okay. I'm looking. There we go. Come on. Okay. Back to being in order for as far as I can tell. Next town up from Trout Run and Field Station is Bodine. This is not my photo, obviously, but this is a photo of the station. In two different eras. Obviously, the horse and buggy, and then probably the bottom one's probably early time of the vehicle, or the cars and all that. Start right. I'm gonna start right here. So this is this the forest? Yeah, this is behind the Forest Inn facing north. So their property is on the right of way. This is facing south toward Trout Run and Field Station. This is part of a bridge abutment that, of course, the bridge is missing over Lycoming Creek. And let me go zoom in. I keep forgetting to zoom in. So you can obviously see in the trees and the greenery that concrete thing definitely sticks out. It's like a sore thumb. This is a view from Bodine's Bridge facing south. You can see the bridge abutment right here. There would be one right here. Yep, I'll have a photo of inside the creek. And then the other one would be way over here to the left. Why did it do that? This is, I found on one of the Elmira branch group that I'm in. This is possibly Agnes. I can't quite tell. I didn't find too much info on it. It might be Agnes from 72. You could just see how the water just basically destroyed this bridge. Like, this piece is like facing in the water. The rail is connected, which is quite interesting, but everything else is gone. Like, this is interesting. So I'm thinking this is facing north. So the cameraman's on the south end of the bridge, possibly. I'm not quite sure. This is where the bridge let me see here. Yeah, so this is possibly a part of a bridge abutment in the middle of Lycoming Creek, which is quite interesting. Like, you can see the wood right here. And water's really low. This was a couple of years ago. Standing in that same area facing south, looking at that bridge abutment. Okay. Next up is the northern end of Bodines. This is the railroad bridge next to a road bridge. Obviously, it don't normally flood because how low this bridge is compared to, it's not very high off the stream. Unfortunately, they have taken this bridge out after the last flooding last year. A friend of mine posted photos, but I didn't have a chance to go up and look at it. So There's the road bridge, and this is the railroad bridge. The railroad bridge is gone, so I'll have to. They probably redid this. I think they redid this bridge, and they had to take this out. So this is just north of that bridge. The Pensy line is right here. It'll cross Bodines Mountain Road, I think, or Bodines Road right here that we're on, and head toward Marsh Creek, or Marsh Hill. Marsh Hill. Another view looking, you can obviously see that's a right of way with the power line. Another view right there of the right of way with the swampy area. A then and now of the Bodine Bridge, Northern Central Railway Bridge. Then and now. They made this a canoe launch right here. A couple, like within the last 2 years. I need to check it out. Coming up to Marsh Hill, this is an aerial view of Marsh Hill, which was once called Bergen. So the Northern Central goes, Northern Central goes this way, and you notice there's a little set of tracks that go this way, and there's a little yard. And there might have been a Y at one time here. But this is the Susquehanna and New York, which operated between Towanda all the way to Marsh Hill into Ralston, and then they had a trackage rights from Marsh Hill into Williamsport, and then they had a small 1 mile length of track that was theirs into the yard in Newbury. They called it the Dyke Line. That is mentioned in that setup running book. But that's another railroad I'd like to do a thing on. So there was a station here. There was a tower here, I believe. So if you wanted to go from, let's say, Williamsport to Towanda, you'd get off here at Marsh Hill and then take Susquehanna, New York, through Maston, Lockwood, all the way to Towanda. They moved their yard from Ralston to here because it was so much more convenient for them. See, here's that same location, just a ground view. So there's the station. This is the Pensy. There's a Pensy signal. There's a switch signal. So there's the Susquehanna, New York, going toward Lockwood and Maston and Towanda. Here's a farther view from the same spot. I'm unsure what this track would be. Maybe a siding track. I'd like to see if any. I don't think any of this is still here. I know this is gone. This has all been pretty much taken over by nature and private property. Not my photo, but I'll give the person from the Pennsylvania or Pensy Elmira branch group credit. I can't remember who did it, but I don't want to steal this photo. This is in Marsh Hill facing south. This is the Pensy facing that area where the station was, and the Susquehanna, New York would have been to the left somewhere in here. But you can see the rail right here. There would have been 2 tracks, right here and right here. So this is facing south, and Ralston's behind me. Next town up is Grays. I just got a quick shot. There isn't too much I have on Grays, or Gray. I'm standing at Route 14 Bridge. There's Gray's Run. I think this is Gray's Run. Yeah, this should be Gray's Run. So Lycoming Creek's in the background. I'm facing kind of like a southeast direction. But there's no photos of any train crossing this bridge, unfortunately. Facing south, just north of Gray's, you see the right-of-ways right there. Actually, this is just north of Trout Run, so I got this one mixed up a little bit. So this is a cool photo. This is near Marsh Hill. So a few old-timers may remember, this is an old book, so I'm reading what this says. So a few old-timers may remember the Susquehanna, New York long curving trestle near Marsh Hill to cross over the Pennsylvania Railroad. Engine number 10 is being used to dismantle the trestle in 1911 and 1912 after the sawmill closed. Excuse me. So Gray's Run Railroad, which is what this is, came off of where, is it Trout Run Sportsman? Do you know what that sports club's called?
Gray's Run?
Okay, Gray's Run Sportsman Club?
Something like that.
So Gray's Run Sportsman Club, something like that. So if you Google Maps Gray's Run Sportsman Club, They're sitting on top of pretty much where the right of way was that Gray's Run Railroad ran to for logging and possibly maybe a coal, maybe one or two coal mines. I'm not too sure. Unfortunately, John would know, and he's passed away, and so it's like, ugh, I'm trying to remember what he told me and all that stuff. But I know it was a logging railroad. So they came down Gray's Run and stayed to the left of Route 14 heading north until they got to Marsh Hill, and here where they would have built a trestle over the road, which is possibly right here. The northern central, which is the Pensy. Lycoming Creek would be to the right to get over on the other side of Marsh Hill to where the rail yard area would be for the Susquehanna and New York. So this long wooden trestle would have been impressive to see back in the day. So this is around 1911, 1912, based on what the caption says. That's pretty cool. Let's see what. Coming into Ralston. This is just a detail map from my late friend John. He posted in the Pennsylvania Railroad Elmira Bridge group. So, let's see here. So, to Williamsport, the Susquehanna, New York had a line. There was a tannery out here, so this would have been this would have probably been. I'm guessing by the detail, this would have been toward Marsh Hill. How it's detailed is not quite correct from what I see. There was a small little engine house, boiler room, water tower plug, station, ice, all this stuff, cabin track, coal tipple way over here. There was even a brick factory. I wish I knew where that was. I'd love to find that out. The yard, they had a pretty big, pretty decent yard. The Max block, which is Langdon. So, right about, let's see here. So, trying to see here. Okay, so this would have gone up Rock Run. So this is going up Rock Run, actually. Based on looking at this map, I'm looking over it with you guys. I'm trying to remember. So this would have gone up Rock Run. There's a switchback line up toward McIntyre and all that. There's a way to the top of the mountain when going the back way. But this would have been all downtown Ralston. And then this would have been below the incline plane that Mike and I hiked. And he did a video on that with McIntyre at one of his lives. Excuse me. Ralston Railroad Bridge. This is an iron Warren Truss Bridge built by the American Bridge Company in 1901, crossed, Lycoming Creek on this site until 2002. Last used by the Pennsylvania Railroad, it provided coal, lumber, and passenger service for central PA. And let me double check that I got a picture. Oh, I will have a picture. So, unfortunately, is my phone dying? Well, my phone's pretty good. So, unfortunately, the bridge was taken out in 2002. I never really did notice the bridge. I do remember the old road bridge that crossed just north of here to cross Lycoming Creek. But obviously, this is facing south. This is South Ralston. I did not know this till I was talking to John quite a few years ago. So this is technically South Ralston. The shops would have been somewhere in this lumberyard area. So this is that bridge that sign is talking about. There's a pedestrian bridge next to it where the road is. And obviously this is the railroad tracks. And a hippo, like I said, hippo country. Hippos, hippos, hippos. Another photo. Probably a little bit later on, I'm not sure. This house, unfortunately, is now gone. They tore it down after 96 because going through the group, I saw John's comment and it said it was unlivable. So, unfortunately, this house is gone. But that would have been iconic just to see this. So, the road is pretty much on top. Or the road is on top of where this house was, but the design of this house is just beautiful. Another hippo. So this is a view from the Susquehanna, New York tracks, I believe, facing the Pensy, looking at Lycoming Creek. So I'm facing west, looking at the old bridge. So Williamsport's to the right, or to the left, and going toward Canton and Troy is to the right. Another day of the same bridge. This is facing north, so the trail I was on is somewhere up here. And obviously you can see the old bridge. This is from at least 3 years ago. Mike and I went fishing here one time. This is just, I missed this one. This is just south of Trout Run. The right-of-way is where this truck is sitting and where this house, the house is sitting behind us. So the right-of-way is in front of this house. Toward Trout Run, or going toward Trout Run, coming from Ralston. Metal piece on that bridge. I don't really have these in order. Jesus. Some closer shot, or closer view of the bridge. So this is probably where a piece would have went into the concrete to hold the bridge and onto the concrete. This is north of Ralston. This is at Langdon, or where the Max Block was. Oh my God, try to say that 5 times fast. Max Block. This is facing south, so the McIntyre coal town would have been way on top of the mountain. Let me get this a little bit better. There we go. So this would have been a little few houses in the town of Langdon at the bottom of the incline for McIntyre. If you missed that live, unfortunately, I don't know if it's still available on your Facebook. Is it, Mike?
Subscribers only.
Subscribers only. $2 a month. If you go to Michael Kinney's Facebook page, you pay $2 a month. You will get to see all his previous live streaming video, or live streams, pretty much. And they're really good. I help a little bit with some of the stuff. Like I helped him with the McIntyre one, which I mentioned here, like the town. So connecting railroad with nature and history, just worked together on that video or that stream. But the right of way is right here. So the railroad tracks is right here. So the Max Block would have been somewhere in here. So I'm facing south. This is Langdon Road. This is a dead end road. You can just barely see a little bit of a culvert right here. So the right-of-way would have been right here. This is turned around facing north now, I think. Oh, actually, we are on the right-of-way here. So I'm trying to think where that last culvert was. So Route 14's to the left, like right where my mouse is in the background. You can barely see it here. So Langdon Road turns and goes this way. So the Max Blocks would have been somewhere in here. I keep saying blocks. Just north of Langdon, which is around that bend. I'm going to highlight over here. Which is, you could see that, excuse me, a little bit of 14. That would have been right here, because this curves right here. And you can see, excuse me, the darkness of the, pretty much the soot in the ground and all the stuff from the railroad. Possibly tons of coal that fell out of the cars. But this is facing toward Langdon and Ralston. Lycoming Creek is just out of sight. But this is 14. This is going north from left to right. So I'm here. I call this Langdon Curve. I don't know the actual name. But a few years ago, I did a then and now. I can't find it, or I couldn't find the photo, so I had to take an old photo, probably the same one, and just show you an idea of the same location, the best I could do. So these are pushers, again hippos, pushing a loaded coal train up the Elmira branch. Here's our little caboose buddy. I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart. What those guys are called? My God, I can't believe I'm having a brain fart. But so there's of course a crew here, and the guy in the caboose. So they're gonna push him all the way up to Sned Tower, or it's in Snedekerville, which is north of Troy. The Elmira branch, like I said, was not level. It was quite hilly and windy. It basically follows Lycoming Creek for the most part until Canton, and then it will follow South Creek into Elmira, and then it follows multiple creeks to get to Sodas Point, where the Pine Creek line for what the New York Central built pretty much follows Pine Creek 3/4 of the way from the state line all the way down to the Jersey Shore. So you get an idea with this photo of a then right here, and now. This is a couple years old, but overall it's a then and now. It's a pretty cool photo. And just to the left of that last photo, on the same curve, is this coal car, which possibly came from the McIntyre Mountain. It says 1870 McIntyre coal to 1886, and there's lots of coal, big chunks. And it says 1890, 1940. So I don't understand why it says 1890 on this side, but it's got a different name, another coal company. Next town up is Roaring Branch. This is facing south toward Ralston. The right-of-way is right here. This is north, just north of that location. I'm going south. So the right-of-way is right here. Mother Nature is basically taking the right-of-way back, because you can see all this loose ground. Roaring Branch, not Roaring Springs, usually floods a lot when it rains because how low it is right next to Lycoming Creek. I remember quite a few times seeing a tree literally just barely touching the road because it got washed up alongside the highway. Oh, here's that same spot, more recent. This is like within the last 3 years. You see all the ballast rock facing south, like I said, in the so I'm right next to that Roaring Branch Road. Yeah, so Mikey's standing on the right-of-way in this photo, and 14's in the background just behind this building. And Lycoming Creek is right what this bridge is crossing over. Should go and see what else I got in order. Let's see here. Going back a little bit. North of Roaring Branch is Nevilletown, whatever. I never knew the actual name of this till Mike's stepdad said it one time we went to Grover. The right-of-way starts going, excuse me, higher than us, and you can obviously see in the wintertime there's the rock cut in the background. Excuse me. And the right-of-way is right there. Lycoming Creek is really tiny. It starts getting smaller the farther north you go of Roaring Branch. There's Nevilletown Bridge. Let me zoom in. That's easy to see this time of year before it starts getting greener with the greenery. There's actually a house on the other side of the bridge. It's pretty cool. More level town. I'm coming into, let me think, where am I at with this photo? Oh, just south of Grover. Oh, I'm actually missing the Red Man. I'll have to find the Red Man photo. There's a photo of a barn just south of here, or in this area, of a Red Man chewing tobacco. It is a red, green, and yellow barn. And it actually said chew Red Man tobacco back in the day. There's a photo of a diesel locomotive I saw at yesterday's restaurant in Renovo one time. And I took a picture of it. And it's the only photo I've ever seen of that barn with a train. But this is just south of Grover, facing south. Obviously the right-of-way. Facing north. Hey, this is from my silver Impala, I think. This is a 2011, no, this is from 2012. Oh my god, I'm aging this photo. That's my silver Impala. Coming into Grover now. This is Grover Road. 14 is at the stop sign, so it's just out of sight. So go to the right, it'll take you the back way to Leroy and all that. So the right-of-way is approximately right in here where that truck's sitting, and it's right here. This used to be a cheese or a milk plant. I can't remember what Mike's stepdad said it was. My dad would know, but I can't remember. Facing south, the trailers are sitting on the right-of-way. So this is a sharp curve for the road, and it's pretty decent for the railroad. Coming into Canton, I don't have any photos exactly of the south end of Canton, but this is the Canton Depot, a then and now. So this is what it used to look like, and this is what it looks like from within the last 3-4 years. Pretty decent shape. They put a metal roof on it, so it's doing pretty good. some close-up shots I have. I'd like to know what this is. This could be a relay box or something. I'm not sure. It's still sitting there at the station. 14's in the background. Right about where that other, right about in the area where the car is. Facing south. This is from, oh my god, 2009, 2010, because that was my mom's Trailblazer. I drove that thing around. Facing south, probably from my Impala at the time. So I'm at the area where the station was. It would have been to my, behind me on my right. The depot was across the street, which is quite interesting. 14, this is 14 right here. This is actually way above Troy. I don't want this photo. I'm gonna go, I don't know. This is Alba, which is north of Canton. Facing north, these consolidated freight, or chiefs, my dad used to say. Trailer is sitting on the right of way facing north. This is facing south. Another crossing near Alba. This might be McCarthy's Road or McCarthy something road. Facing north. Right in the area of Alba, or Alba, I mean. I can't remember the name. It starts with M-I-S-S. It's Indian name. It's Mesquite, or something like that. The railroad goes away from 14 between Canton and around Alba. So this is where this photo was taken. Obviously a little culvert facing south toward Alba and Canton. Believe, oh, this is probably Grover. Cowley, this station. Oh my god, my cough. Do I have any comments? No, wow. So, Cowley Station is, if I remember correctly, is not in the original location. This is technically Granville Summit. If you Google Granville Summit, it's off of 514, which is south of Troy. This station is actually privately owned. It's not, like I said, it's not in the original location, but it's one of the this is one of the surviving stations of the rail line from the probably the northern central time. And I'd love to know where they got this caboose, because this caboose is quite interesting. They put the Cowley line on it. It's pretty cool. So you got a milepost, crossing bucks, of course your station and your caboose right there on your property. That's pretty cool. Facing, this is going south, and that's going north. In the Elmira branch by Mike, oh, I'm gonna torture his last name. Calusico. I'm friends with his nephew. This bridge is one of a kind. This is a farmer's bridge over the right-of-way. So the right-of-way is right in here. The bridge is not in use anymore, but it's in pretty decent shape for not being used. So facing north, going south. The Granville Summit post office is just to my right, which is pretty interesting. This is facing south. I got as close as I could to the bridge because this is all filled water when it rains. But 46 and 00. I'm trying to remember what these actually mean. They're on a lot of bridges, and of course this wouldn't support for the bridge, but it's pretty cool. So this is a close-up shot of the Cowley Bridge. Last one for this album is north of Granville, heading toward 14. So the Cowley Farmers Bridge would be to the left, and 14 is coming up in the distance on my right. Okay. Now we're gonna start in Troy. I might be able to finish this. How long have I been doing this? Oh, almost an hour. I might do this. I'm gonna try to get this a little quick. Oop, wrong way. Which way? This is not, obviously not my photo, but this is somewhere in the vicinity of Troy. Where exactly, I am not sure, because I do not recognize this location. I've seen a lot of photos, but I don't recognize this location. And I just noticed there's a Western Maryland coal car on this train. Two hippos pushing the caboose for helpers set. Little railroad guys hanging out the window. Notice the Pensy position lights, which is pretty cool. Because normally, most photos I see, you don't see the signals, and I've seen Semperfor signals in some of the really old photos. So this is at least a 10-year-old photo, but this is Troy. The station is now used by a doctor. Recreated Troy sign on the north side of the station. The tracks would have been right in this area, right where the parking lot driveway is. Supposedly, I might have to figure out a way. I might just say, hey, just stop by the office and say, hey, can I see your sign? The doctor supposedly has the original cast iron Troy sign hanging inside of the station, which is really cool. So, and the station looks pretty much the same as it does in this photo. So, Canton, Williamsport is this way, and Elmira is behind me. Here's another set of tracks. Possibly this would have been the depot side for the mail and the goods and all that. Here's a then and now of the station. I would love to see if I can find the what's left of the water tower. So this is facing south. Okay, so it don't show any tracks over here. So this might have been the truck thing. Okay, so the tracks are here, and obviously you can see then. So this is Station Railroad Street. South Railroad Street and Railroad Street meet here at the station. So Railroad Street's directly behind me, and South Railroad is to my right. Excuse me. At the doctor's office, he actually has a railroad crossing sign, which is really cool. The oval looking signs, which is really cool. Facing south, driving away from the station, or facing north, actually, driving away from the station. So I'm leaving South Railroad Street and getting on Railroad Street, which is right here. North of Troy, at where US 6 and Route 14 meet. So this is US 6 going from Mansfield, Wellsboro to Towanda, Tunkhannock, Scranton area. And 14 is right here. I'm literally at the intersection. There's a cemetery up here. This is what was called Tin Bridge. Nobody knows where the name actually came from, but it was called Tin Bridge. So this is where the Pensy crossed over Sugar Creek. I think this is Sugar Creek or Little Sugar Creek. And went alongside the hill toward Alperon Park, which is where Troy Fair is held in Bradford County. And these days, let me see if I have a next photo. So this same location. This is Amy Chevrolet. They own this bridge. They haven't done anything to it really. They just added a little road so they can display a car or a truck up on top. So when you come south on 14 and you go to the stop sign, you're going to see one or two vehicles sitting here looking right at you saying, ooh, buy me, buy me. So the Tin Bridge, it would have crossed over US 6. 14 was not here at the time. 14 was over here at Fire Station Road, which is across the creek. This is South Creek. I think either Sugar Creek or South Creek. No, this is Sugar Creek. So 14 would have been over here on the other side of what is now Dandy. So obviously this has been all taken out. Oh, here we go. There's the intersection right there. So there's that truck sitting on the old right-of-way. I don't have photos of Alperon Park, unfortunately, because I'm not sure how it exactly went through. But this is the next town up. This is Columbia Crossroads facing north. Post office. This is Austinville Road. 14's to my right. And obviously toward Austinville's to the left. This is at the same spot facing south. So Judson's Agway is sitting right, this building is sitting right on top of the right-of-way. I'm facing south toward Troy. Yeah, this is photos from like 2011, 2012. There's my old Impala. Oh my God, I can't. I'm just now realizing I haven't seen these photos in forever. This is the same spot I was standing in the last photo, looking down, and there's still railroad ties in the road, which is pretty cool after all this time. Um, okay, so the next location up, I don't know the exact name of this community, but I just call this the 14 overpass because at one time this road went over the right of way. So the railroad tracks are right here, and the road. This is pretty much a big mound over the right of way. It would have been a bridge, but it's a big mound now. They haven't leveled it or anything, which is really cool. Maybe one of these days they'll make a rail trail. I'm hoping. This is facing south, so that mound where the road goes over is right here. So the right of ways on the north side of the bridge is right here. A little bit farther north of that, before we get to Snedeckerville and Sned, I call this is Honey Bear Lane. So there's a farm here. So I've only seen this photo like once or twice, but it's been over 10 years since I've seen it. I think it's been deleted off the internet or somewhere. There's a picture of a steam locomotive, possibly a hippo. I don't remember the full details. It's heading south, and the photographer is standing like right in here, and it's showing the farm, and the railroad tracks are going right through this farm, and it's quite interesting because you can kind of see 14 is kind of visible. This is an old photo, like I said, so it's like a dirt road or whatever in the background, just barely visible. But I cannot seem to find that photo anymore. And so this location I call it Honey Bear because this is Honey Bear Lane and I guess Honey Bear Farm is what I call it. Now we're at Sned in Snedeckerville, Snedeker, Snedeker, Kerville. I can write it out, but I can't spell it. So at Sned, the helpers, these obviously helpers, would have released from the train. The main is here, released right in here, gone up to the northern part of a Y, which is right in this area, unattached from the train, backed into the Y, the one leg of the Y, and basically turned themselves to go back south to help another loaded coal train up on its next journey. So this is actually probably a 20 by 40, 20 by 20, 40 by 40, 40 by 40. I don't know the exact measurements. But this is Sned Tower. There is a photo. I keep forgetting to zoom in. There's a photo or two of Erie diesel locomotives taking a detour train through here, passing a Penske steam engine and with a Penske diesel. It's either an F unit or a Baldwin, or E or F or a Baldwin. It's pretty cool. I don't know where those photos are. They're not mine, of course. So these guys are obviously they're heading south off the Y to go back to Williamsport for another train to go up towards Sodas Point. I like how you can just barely see just a little building. Here's another photo of the same tower. So Gillett and Elmira is this way. Troy, Williamsport is this way. And I like how this one has a whistle post, but you can't see it in this one. So it's just out of sight, I'm guessing. I want to date this to be like a 50s car. I want to say early 50s. This is pretty interesting. And here's a good shot of trains pretty much passing each other. That's possibly this is in the area of Sned, but I'm not sure what this building is. So and I can't quite. I think this is a northbound train. This is a southbound train. Just based on the way the valley is, I know this valley pretty well. So this is a southbounder. This is a northbounder. They're passing each other here at Sned. This photo is a couple years old. Unfortunately, the roof has collapsed on itself. So this is what remains of the SNED tower from possibly 6, 7 years ago. It's relatively recent, but not like, last year. Um, if you take 14 north from Troy to Elmira, if you come into Snedekerville and there's Holcomb, no, Ketchum Road, and then there's another road. There's the roads are right next to each other on your right. So it's the second one, which is across from a house that's on the left. It's the only house right there at another intersection. It's Sned. There's not a lot of houses, so it's easy to figure this out. Excuse me. This building would be in the tree line, about 75 feet off the road. If you know if you find it this time of year, if you drive by slow, you probably won't miss it every time when you go by. You used to really see it when the roof was up, but unfortunately, like I said, the roof is basically caved in on itself. Last I knew, the owner was trying to figure out a way to fix it, but obviously, that didn't help. That didn't happen. I'll have to get in touch with somebody who possibly may know what's going on, because that'd be nice to save, at least try to put something on it. There's nothing really in it. This is outside outside the little tower. This is inside. The roof is in bad shape from 7 years ago. Oh, go back. So obviously, yeah, just not basically taken care of since the railroads from 72. Next town up is Gillett. This is facing north. This is Thompson Hill Road. 14's to the left in the distance. This is just off of South Creek. Is actually starts right near South Creek, which will flow alongside the right of way till you get to Southport. So this is facing north, and this is facing south. Obviously, a junkyard sitting on the right of way, unfortunately. Let me see here. Let me double check. I'll make sure I'm getting them in order. Just double checking. Okay, I think I am for the most part. So I'm just short or just shy of the New York border. This is in Facet/South Creek Township. It was listed as Facet. The tower for this location was called Kendall. I'm facing south. This is Shedden's Drive or Shedden's Lane. Private drive. So when you take 14, you'll see the drive is right here. This house is it's a private home, but it used to be the general store for the and it possibly, I think they said it was the station at first for the railroad in the town. So general store. Kendall Tower would have been somewhere in here. The interesting part about this location is in New York law, you needed a brakeman or something. You needed 3 men or something. So a northbound train would have to stop literally and block this crossing that's just to my right and have the third man get on the train and come into New York. And a lot of times, and based on that, the Amar Branch book by the Mike Colosio, I'm going to butcher the name. The third crewman would be in the line of traffic trying to get to the train, which was quite interesting. So when the trains would come south, they'd stop just shy of the crossing and let the guy out, so he could stay in New York State. It's quite interesting. This is the same spot just a few years before. There's some old box cars they use for storage that Shedden's uses for storage. Shedden's used to be an auction store. Now it's like a wholesale. You can get farm stuff, tobacco, holidays, and some plants and stuff. It's a nice place. So here's pretty much a wide view of that same crossing. So New York, that way, crossing the road, 14, and heading toward South Creek and Gillett. I had a brain fart where I was coming from. So that same house approximately is right here. So this railroad crossing at Faxon, when 14 was known as something, I don't know the full name, the store. This was taken in 1937. So 14 was realigned, obviously, because this bridge is not the way it is now. Next town up would be Southport. This is an aerial shot, I believe, from Maple Ave. No, this is Caton Ave. This might be Caton Ave. I'm not sure what bridge this is from. But this is an overview of Elmira or Southport Yard. Southport Yard was quite big. It wasn't as big as the Lackawanna Yard in Elmira on the other side of the town. But little info. When Steamtown was looking at locations to move, when they wanted to move out of Bellows Falls, Vermont, Southport at this yard was one of the choices on that list. To a point, I wish it came here, but then I'm kind of glad it's in Scranton at the Lackawanna Yard. But it would have been so cool to see Steamtown on top of what was the Elmira's branch yard here in well, technically Elmira, but they listed it as Southport. This is an idea of a map of how the yard was set up. So New York 14, which is Clemens Center Parkway through this area from Southport into Elmira, is pretty much right here. This whole, like right where my mouse is, this whole area. I think these streets are still here. I think. I know I've seen this sign, but I don't know about this street. So, let's see. Pennsylvania Ave, which I think is named because of the Pennsylvania Railroad. So, yep, okay, so this street is here. Kenyon and Delaware Ave is still here. So, Miller Street, yep, okay. So, this is the upper part of the yard. The yard is still technically farther south of this where my mouse is. So, this is one photo of the shop, which is pretty cool. This is all open field, and there's a landscape place that has this part. In one of the books I have, I believe I have this book, or I was borrowing it. I can't remember because I have so many books. So below is a yard engine, pretty much, I believe. At the turntable in the Elmira, New York, labeled Southport for the Pensy yard. So yeah, 1956. This is pretty cool. This photo is definitely a gem because not too many color photos of the yard, at least the ones I've seen. Here's a black and white of the same area. I don't see the coal tower in the background though, so I'm thinking it's facing a different way. Not quite sure. But the yard, the turntable, see all these power, all the coal cars. This yard was pretty massive on the south side. So I'm going to start with this photo. So this is the northern part of the Southport Yard. Miller Street's like a block and a half to my right. And pay attention to this house. So this is the roundhouse and all. So this is the 50s. Diesels have obviously come. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks right in there. So this is from within the last 3 years. This is my photo. So that diesel was possibly like right here. So there would have been 4 tracks right all in this area. The roundhouse would have been right here. I'm standing close enough to where the photo was taken, which is pretty cool without me actually looking at the photo. I had to memorize where this photo was taken and then find it to obviously show you here. So yeah, the roundhouse would have been like right in here. So that's pretty cool. So Kenyon Ave, Delaware. No, this is Delaware. Kenyon's in the background a little bit. Clement Center Parkway, which is New York 14. It becomes New York 14, and once it hits the state line, it's to my left a little bit. And another shot looking toward where the yard was. You can just see how open it is. 14 is just to the left. That's the Kenyon Ave exit off of the Clement Center Parkway, which is 14. Same area facing north. So the tracks would have went this way, I believe. Somewhere in here. So some of these houses, I'm not sure. The tracks, railroad tracks would have went through or next to. I can't quite remember. Facing north from or just south of the Kenyon Ave exit. Some company thing, landscape place is on the right of way. This is the Elmira station in downtown Elmira. This is when there was an Indian statue before they did the elevation project, and when the station still had a long extension to the freight house, excuse me, and the clock tower. Oop, they're not quite in order. Why? Why? Where is it? Where is it? Might be in the other photo. But I'll show you another photo I have of this same station from more recently. This is the Pensy, well, at the time, Northern Central Railway Freight House and Depot. This is 5th Street in Elmira, a couple blocks north. This is approximately the same area, 5th Street. Howell or Powell, I can't remember which one this is. The station would have been, like, Depot would have been right in here. This is the Erie line, which is now Norfolk Southern. 5th Street Tower would have stood right here. So they would have controlled the Erie movement and of course the Pensy connection and the Lehigh Valley connection and all that. Closer view of the location. The elevation project, this is what I call it. This was done between 1934 and 35. The city of Elmira wanted pretty much a safer way for people to get through town, whatever, without having so many trains blocking all the crossings with all the streets in town. So at one time, this was all one level before they elevated the tracks. The Erie was the longest elevation project in the entire city. The Lackawanna had theirs, but theirs wasn't as long because they didn't go through downtown. That one I'll have to go over the Lackawanna in one of my lives pretty soon. Obviously, brick from the Northern Central days. So the Pensy had a small yard for the freight house here. This is possibly where the building stood. There's still rail in the trees. The Erie Main Line, which is NS, is in the background. Next town is Horseheads, or HO Tower. So just in the distance, this is facing north. The Pensy would have split off after connecting with the Erie from Elmira. They ran together on trackage rights from Elmira to Horseheads. So Erie Main, these two tracks, HO Tower, which controls the interlocking here. The Pensy splits and goes north. Obviously, there's a Pensy signal, and these are the Erie signals. So Buffalo is for them, for the Erie's this way. So does Point in Lake Ontario. And I'm thinking this would have been, it would have been a heated switch because that is a gas line. HO area where probably the heating switch thing would have been. North of the station, this is downtown Horseheads facing toward Holding Point and Watkins Glen. Facing south, I didn't get a good picture of the station, which is now a historical museum. I highly recommend checking that out. There's a lot of railroad history and Horseheads history in general. So facing south, not a very good photo, but this is just south of the Holding Point, facing north. At the time, NS was redoing the crossing. Oh, back to the Horseheads. I do not have these in order. So yeah, this is a more recent shot of HO or Horseheads. This is north of Holding Point. So the Holding Point was a busy during World War II with moving goods and all that. It actually had a Chinese prisoner of war location there, surprisingly. Excuse me. New York Central, Pensy, Erie, Lackawanna, Lehigh Valley, all, had connections, either their tracks or trackage rights in the area to get to the holding point. I'll have to do a map of that sometime. But this is north of Wyckoff Road. So this is where H16 NS redid the locals back 5 years ago since they closed Elmira Yard. It was H16. They would go from Elmira to Horsedge to work holding point. So the tracks actually end just north of Wyckoff Road. We're going to take a walk. So this is well above where the H16 would have turned its power and left one of the engines because it would have pushed me, pull me, but that's another story. So Carnegie Steel, USA, 1937, 1939. 1939, 152 pounds, I guess, PS. 1934, so that tells you how long these pieces have been here. I just took a picture of this. I thought this was pretty cool. There's no date that I see, but I thought it was pretty cool. Now we're getting into unused territory, or unused rail territory. This was a couple years ago that Mike and I did this. Obviously, washed out section of rail, overgrown rail, and a stream that pretty much washed out or made its own way underneath the railroad tracks. And I found this out from a friend of mine named Russ. Thank you, Russ, if you're watching this. I appreciate you checking this out so I could find it. So this is the only rail that actually connects, that goes across this stream, or maybe at the time it wasn't a stream. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. A call box possibly, or something. I can't remember what this actually is. But this is at Wyckoff Run Road crossing. Skipping ahead past Millport and oh my god, Pine Valley. I missed Pine Valley. This is Montour Falls, not to confuse it with Montoursville, which I almost said. This used to be a chiropractor's office. I don't remember what it is lately. But the railroad tracks would have been obviously like right in here on this side. This is facing south toward Millport and Elmira. This is just north of the station, so you can kind of get an idea of the railroad tracks. I'm not sure what side. I'm thinking this side now. The tracks will be on this side. Another shot of Montour Falls. So, is this still standing or is this still standing? I'll have to figure out which one's still standing because I just noticed that I never really paid attention to much of the building in the background. Next up is Watkins Glen. Now, the Finger Lakes Railway comes in. They use this section of the Elmira branch. Obviously, the line ends there. It crosses a little stream. I don't know what the stream is. But this is the end of the Finger Lakes Railway on the south end. Straight next to the Northern Central Station. This is now a restaurant. It's pretty expensive. It's fancy, but it's expensive. This is the view from the lake, looking at the right-of-way in the front. The facing south on the Finger Lakes. This would be south, pretty much. Facing north. Watkins Glen back in the Penn Central days. You can obviously tell because it's green. So 14's in the background. Look at all these cars. There's an Impala. Photo from a magazine I found. I think I found this. So these guys are from 1956. This is a empty coal train heading south past the station. Hippo country, of course. Like I said. Another photo just south of the station. The station's in the background right there. Seneca Lake's right there. Their little yard right here, just right in the same area. Okay, skipping all the way to Sodas Point. Didn't get to, there isn't too much to take a photo of north of Watkins Glen. Glenora Falls was pretty cool, but I didn't have a photo in time for that because the railroad tracks go right over the falls. John Kutchko gets a lot of the Finger Lakes action over that. That's pretty cool. So this is facing north toward the oh my god, what is this building? It's in the next photo, right? This is the old Genesee Brewery malt building, malt facility. The right of way, you can obviously see where it was, at least to that serviced the malt building. The rail is in the road. And I found it quite interesting. Of course, I'm not far from Rochester where Genesee beer is brewed. It's the New York State's oldest brewery. So I happened to find a Genesee light can, and I thought it was fitting to hold it up to the Genesee Brewing Company malt building. I'm standing in the area of where the coal tipple was, or coal trestle, coal ramp, coal trestle. So the coal trains that would come from Clearfield and points near there would go up to Sodas Point, be unloaded on, or they go over this trestle on to a tipple, pretty much its own tipple. They dump the coal at the undercarriage out the chute of the bottom of the coal car. Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. Of the coal cars, and it would go down this kind of like a slide into a barge, which I don't. There's going to be a painting of it. I'll show you in a sec. And the barge would be loaded with the coal, and it would go to power plants that were not really accessible via the road along Lake Ontario, like near Rochester, going towards Syracuse and all, even to Canada. We even gave coal to Canada for their power plants. Here is a painting that's on the malt building. So there would have been a track here that I showed you. They don't quite have it fully detailed, but it's pretty close. So this is the dock. There's the barge. So the coal train, they would turn the power on, I guess, and push the cars, or possibly have an engine on this side or something. I don't know the full details because I never really paid attention to stuff on this side of the Elmira branch. So it would have dumped coal down at the bottom of the trestle, down a ladder or whatever, or down a slide into the barge, and then the barge would fill, once he got full, he'd go to the power plants. So this is pretty cool. There's a little memorial to this gentleman. I might have a photo. I don't know if I did. Mr. Zerdy. So there's the malt place. If you want to pause this, you can. You can read this. I'm not going to stop right now for this, but I'm going to give it a few seconds. So if you want to pause this later when you watch it, you can read this, or I can post it on my I already have it on my personal page, but I might post it on my photo page. So here's just an overview looking over on where the malt building is and where the trestle was. This mound is where the trestle would have started. So I'm at what is Route 14. Route 14 almost pretty much ends right in this area. So it went across the road and went straight right in here, right in this area. Another view from away from the road. U.S. engineer official something. Buffalo, New York. Geomedic? Geo whatever. The survey markers. Can't think of the word. I just said it earlier. Here is what's left of the trestle, or the ramp for the coal trestle. I'm going to keep calling it a coal trestle. It's in decent shape. Obviously, it sticks out like a sore thumb if you don't know exactly what it is. So Route 14 ends somewhere in here, right in this area. So this is Sodas Point, New York, like I said. This is the view from the road. Mike's getting a picture facing out toward where the trestle was. Mike actually, I think, has a post about this area the day we went up here. just showing Lake Ontario and all that. It's pretty cool. Sodas Point Coal Trestle. So this is how it worked, and unfortunately, uh, it closed down in '67, and it laid unused till '71 when a new businessman and owner began dismantling the trestle in order to build a marina. Obviously, what we have here. And the project progressed slowly until November, when men working with a torch dropped the red hot bolt onto a coal dusted covered timber, and the whole thing caught fire. Yeah, that wasn't a smart idea, guys. And yeah, so this is them pretty much trying to put the fire out. And I'm gonna zoom in. So this is when the trestle was in action. So yeah, between 1892 and 1927, 30 million tons of coal. That's quite interesting. So if you want to pause this whenever you watch this over again later, you can. I'm just going to skip over this. There's another view. Piece of rail from possibly the bridge or a nearby piece of the track. Let me see here. I'm going to exit out of here. So you get an idea. So the trestle would have gone as far out, maybe even farther than this dock where these boats are. So this is like October, late October. People are starting to get their boats out. We were there. Just kind of like last second decision to go. These are just some random photos I found on the internet. So Canandaigua also had a connector onto the Pennsylvania Railroad. So Canandaigua to Penn Yan area and Starkey, that was its own line. That was the Canandaigua branch. So from Starkey south is pretty much the whole Elmira branch. So Starkey to Sodas Point is the main line, but this is just a different block station thing. Canandaigua, Glenora, Watkins, Montour, Chemung Junction, which would have been Elmira Heights, Erie Junction, Gillett, Snedeker Tower, they spell it totally different. There it is, Minnique. I guess that's between Alba and Canton. That's what I couldn't think of. Okay. Roaring Branch, Marsh Hill, McKinney Tower, down to BY Tower, which would have been north of Newberry, I believe. A little ticket stub from the Northern Central I found. I found this on the Elmira Branch group. This photo here was with that ticket stub. So this is Millport. The Erie Canal, not Erie Canal, the Chemung Canal would have been somewhere in here. I think this is it. 14's in the distance. This is now a rail trail. This has been totally redone in this whole area. I think I know where this was, the station. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to, next time I go to Watkins Glen for a few days, maybe Mom and I can explore that, or maybe Mike and I can. I've done this rail trail a little bit in Montour Falls to Millport, but never south of Millport. Postcard photo of the Millport station. Notice the Semper Force signals. This is facing north, so Watkins Glen's the next town up, or Montour Falls and Watkins Glen. Black and white, somewhere along the Lycoming Creek, possibly near Cogan Station or south of Poway, somewhere in there. I'm not quite sure. Obviously, Hippo. So he's an empty one. I believe he's heading south. If by the looks of it, it looks like he's empty. Let's see here. A mixed freight. I'm trying to remember where this is taken. Maybe north of Troy. I can't remember. Again, like I said, Hippo country. You've got a bunch of different kinds of cars. I just love these black and whites. Helpers. This is Poway's Curve. This is actually, I think, Poway's Curve. These are helper Hippo engines heading south to help another coal train head north. So this is, there's 15 in the background, old 15 before they reconfigured it. This is Lycoming Creek right here. Dougherty Run is in the background. That's how I know this area. So he's heading south back toward Williamsport, like I said, to help another train possibly to go north or do a crew change for the next train to go north. Here's another then and now. This photo here. I tried my best to line this up. So this is actually a rear end of a train. So these are Alcos. Alco is its own. It's kind of like GM, Toyota. It's its own make of locomotives at one time. So here's some Baldwins, or no, Alcos. I mean Alcos with a steam engine. So this is like mid 50s. This is when they're phasing out the steam engines to do the diesels. These guys are pushing a mixed freight train north. So 14 is here in the foreground. And he's, like I said, he's pushing. So it's cool to see the diesels pushing a steam engine. And this is approximately the same area via Google Maps. So PA 14, it's labeled as Gillett. So it's just it's north of Snedekerville, but south of Dunning and Dunning/Gillett. So if you know where to look when the trees are down, you can definitely tell where the right of way is. This black mark I did is where the right of way is. So that's approximately where this train is. Here is the coal trestle. I actually do have a photo of a coal train pushing so many cars up to be unloaded. There's a B&O car. There's a nickel plate road car. I'm unsure what this one is, but you can tell all these different kinds of different railroads coal cars. So they would have done so many at a time, pushing it up. I just love these photos. So that's Soda's Point on Lake Ontario. I have this photo. This is actually my photo I bought. So I bought it and I don't know where it's at. So this next photo will describe it. So 1931. This is Erie siding and yard tracks of East 5th Street. State of New York, Department of Public Works Division Engineering photo. So this says Elmira. So this is somewhere in the vicinity of where 5th Street is. This could possibly be across the street. This could possibly be 5th Street right here. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm born and raised in Elmira, and I've never seen this photo till I bought it a couple years ago. Excuse me. So this is possibly across the street from the Pensy. Excuse me. Freight house. I'm just trying to figure out what this building is. I need to actually do some exploring and get a bunch of friends around that are from the area as well and figure out where this actually is. This is pretty cool. Hippo meeting another hippo. So we have a mixed freight meeting a coal train somewhere near Troy or Columbia Cross. I think this is Columbia Crossroads. This looks like more like Columbia Crossroads. So this is just a pretty cool photo I found. I was like, ooh, a hippo meeting another hippo. My photo, this is back in Williamsport. This is Federal Ave and Trenton Ave. Yes. So the right of way goes right between, or what it went right between. So where this hippo is sitting, he's coming out of Newberry Yard. He's loaded. So this came from Clearfield. This train came from the Clearfield coal area. He's going up the Elmira branch, but he's not quite there yet. So he's left Newberry Yard. He's going through Newberry, and he's gonna come. I'm trying to think if this is Diamond or I can't remember what street this is. A friend of mine's mom lives a couple blocks back that way, and she would know what street it is. But he's getting ready to eventually cross Arch Street and then go up the Elmira branch. So you can see this house is still there. This is gone because this garage thing is here, but you can definitely see how then and now, you see why this road is kind of the way it is if you come through Williamsport in the Newberry section. Mainly want to focus on this photo. So this is Memorial Ave here. This is Conrail days. So Conrail from Cogan Station right around where Taylor Trucking is south to Williamsport was still in use up until the 80s, maybe early 90s. There was a lumber yard where Taylor Trucking is and Bimbo Bakeries where Stroman Bread is. They were still serviced by the railroad, And obviously Conrail, see the caboose, so it's the 80s. They were still using cabooses in the 80s. There's US 15 in the background, but it's pretty cool to find this photo uh, and compare it to now because this is that bikeway. I love that car. I'd like to know what kind of car this is. So he just cleared the crossing, I'm thinking. So he's heading back toward Williamsport. This is the Kogan block. Somewhere north of Kogan, but south of Powys. I'm not quite sure. This is pre-72 because it's a Penn Central, and it's before Agnes came along. And it's quite interesting. They use like a signalman's lantern. Back to my map, right? Am I back to my map? I'm going to go through it all just to make sure. Oop, yep, I got one more. I got a couple more photos. I just got to go make sure I'm going through all these. Trout Run, Troy. Okay, here is another then and now. This photo's a couple years old, but it's mine. So this is Route 14, and this is quite interesting. So the Penn C borrowed steam engines from the Reading, and the easiest place to do that was interchange with them at Newberry, where Lycoming Valley Railroad is. So this is a Reading powered, but a Penn C train heading south. Coming out of Southport, he would have went through past the yard, which is in the distance, and he's heading south, going underneath 14. And this is approximately just a hair off from where this photo was taken, but you get an idea. You can kind of see in a little bit of a flat spot. The yard would have been in the distance. You can't quite see it from here, but it's out past this tree line. So I'm pretty much on top of the right-of-way where he is. And since this is known as Hippo Country, unfortunately, there is, from my understanding, only one Hippo locomotive still in existence. And Mike, my mom, and I went to Buffalo for a concert last Mother's Day, and on the way up, after we stopped, or we went through Letchworth a little bit, and this is in Hamburg, New York, which is just south of Orchard Park and south of Buffalo. So this Hippo is a long way from where it would have ran. This is, I believe, nowhere near where this locomotive would have ran. But this is the only surviving Hippo steam locomotive in existence. She's been sitting out in the weather of western New York for 20 years at least 20 years. But last I knew, they were going to build a shelter on top of her finally. But I wanted to end it with this photo of the only surviving Hippo locomotive. And yeah, that's pretty cool to actually finally get to see this big beauty. Let me go see what else, make sure. So that's pretty much it, what I have for today. I might go over and do record a video of a little bit more detail instead of rushing through it, because I have a lot of photos of this branch. I had to go by folder and all that. But I appreciate everybody that stuck around and watched. It went on longer than I planned, almost 2 hours. I knew it would be, and Mike's probably waiting for me to get off the computer. So hopefully next week I will, if I stick to this, I'll probably stay on the Elmira branch and do a little bit more detail, and maybe do maybe go over the map a little better, and kind of give an idea of what you can see if you ever want to see what's left of the Elmira branch. But thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. If not, if I don't keep up with that, give me suggestions for next week. I try to do it different days of the week. Mike likes to keep his to Thursdays, but I do mine whenever I'm comfortable doing it, and it just kind of works out for me, because I try not. If I keep something, I normally don't stick to it. So hope you guys have a good night, and stay safe. Catch you next time.